and he just like looked aside from the camera, was like, "Yo, Raab, aren't you glad you're behind the camera now?" And I was like, "Dude, seriously." Just to see how broke off people were getting, I'm like, I'm good, you know, like.
We have a very special guest today. Some of you may be familiar with his body of work, including many Atomic Wedgies and Escaping the Mustard Man, as well as A Mail Order Bride. But to us, he's known as Friend, and we're talking about the legend known as Chris Raab, aka Raab himself. Welcome aboard, my friend.
Yeah, what's happening? I like the intro of the body of work. I was like, yeah, so you've seen my body in a lot of my work.
I'm very familiar with your upper thighs area and a lot of your lower backside. We have been blessed. You know, I got to say, thank you so much for coming on the program. We're all such big fans, and it's really awesome to have you here. And there's something cool that I have off the top of my head that I want to ask you first before we delve into all our fun things. And we may have a quick video that we can play to reference this. It's just from your body of work before, your feline body of work, so to speak, with a certain tiny individual who lived on the back porch, I believe, a certain kitty cat.
It's very stupid for kKy. Come here, little kitty. Come here, kitty.
Here you are feeding this.
Give me a little hunk of meat. Come on, kitty, little hunk of meat. Come on, kitty, little hunk of meat. Come on. Join in, little kKy.
So ridiculous.
And that, my friends, right there is pretty much the legend I'm speaking of. A round of applause is well deserved.
Oh man.
Can you give us what's going on in that video, my friend, in your words? I want to hear it from the source himself.
A lot going on in that video. Maybe mental illness. But I think you know, that one, I think that was the original one. That was the original Salisbury for kKy. That was such a weird thing. So the way it kind of all started was it was actually Bam's dad, Phil, that called the cat, like, it was like he called the cat like kitty, but the way that he said it sounded like kKy, like kKy, and then it just shortened to that. So then we would mess around calling it that and just be like, "Oh, come here, little kKy," and just doing that kind of thing to it, and just got so much humor out of the fact that the cat would look at you like you're the biggest idiot, you know, and like so and like probably were, but it was just hilarious to us how the cat would just like give this look of like, "Dude, what's wrong with you?" You know, and so that just became the thing of like, just how far can we push it to get this cat so annoyed with our idiocy, and just kept like trying to feed it, you know, and it would just keep looking at you like, "Dude, I don't want the food," you know, like, and then what happened is like Bam filmed it, and you know, we kept just going, "Oh, come here, cat," doing that, and then that night we sat down and we were editing, and I swear we were just delirious, like so tired, and he would add like some dramatic music to it and things like that, and it was just like, and we were cracking up so bad, like, dude, we're like, I think this is the dumbest thing ever, and I think that we're the only two that are gonna think this is funny in any way, you know, and then he put it on one of the cKy's, and it ended up being something that people laughed at and really liked, and then like come to know me for it. But how could we ever have predicted that? Like, it could have been one of those things that you just didn't include because you're like, I think we were just laughing because we were like out of our mind or whatever, you know. And we weren't like even high or anything. It was just like we were just delirious from being up for too long and thought it was the funniest thing. And then it ended up being something people were like took to, you know.
I mean, like, I feel like you can't be around any cat now without calling it kKy, like, right? Like,
yeah, dude. And you know what was funny? Like, that rapper guy Drake did a thing like about it had like kKy in the rap lyric, and then it came back around and people started putting like the kKy thing too. to his rap, and I was like, oh man, it's like. So what one dude did a remix, like a DJ dude did a remix with me in the mix of the Drake thing or something, and it was just comical. I was like, I couldn't believe that like people watched it that much, you know.
Bless both of your hearts. Bless both of you, man, for providing to us immeasurable hours of laughter off of that small piece of content. Bless both you and Bam for that.
Oh, man,
thanks, Phil, for getting his enunciation and diction really right. So
exactly, and dude, and Phil is the funniest part to me because so the cat's real name is Whiskers, and it was a girl.
Really
cat.
Creative there. It's pretty creative. You know?
Yeah, and it is a girl cat, and he would call it a boy its whole life. You know, like so he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't know where he's at, and the cat, and I'm like, Phil, the cat is a girl, and you would tell him that, and he'd be like, yeah, where's he at? You know, and you're like, all right, so it's name changed from Whiskers to kKy, and from a girl to a boy, and it was always called a boy.
It happened. It happened.
Yeah,
well,
incredible.
Well, Raab, real quick, before we go to the next question, out of curiosity, are those your instruments behind you?
Yes, and I embarrassingly don't play them enough, but I just fart around.
That's cool.
Not anything like I'm one of those guys that was like average at most things, and like so I grew up with Bam, who's a professional skateboarder. Did I skateboard? Yeah. Would I admit it in front of other skaters? No. I'd be like, I mean, I kind of like have a board, but like I don't, because everybody else was just so far, you know. I mean, I grew up with Mike Maldonado, Kerry Getz, and Bam Margera, and they're all
not fair to be a skater around those guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
but here's the other thing: those three were the most encouraging dudes for me to skate. Like every time, if I'm like trying to kickflip down a few steps or something, and they're like, dude, you got it, and I'm like, shut up, you're like fucking 50-50 and 20 stairs right now, you know, like. But they were really cool about that, and even just like I could drop in fake or opposite foot on the extension on Bam's ramp, and he was so psyched on that. And you're like, dude, you're ollieing off the roof into the thing, like, you know. So like, but I would skate like that, and the same thing with music. You know, it's like you know, I fart around, I play some chords, I try to just enjoy myself and kind of get lost in it a little bit here and there. But then I also grew up with Darren Miller, who's one of the greatest guitar players ever, you know. So and then a whole bunch of other musicians in jazz, and but again, they're like encouraging, you know. I remember when I was first trying to start learning, it was like maybe 2001 or 2 or whatever, and we were on a tour with cKy, and I was trying to learn Close Yet Far on the guitar. But we were in Scotland, and Bam was like, dude, what, you're learning that now? Like, let's go enjoy Scotland. You know? and I'm like, oh, I really want to learn this song.
Close yet.
But yeah, no, I did get out and enjoy Scotland. But yeah, it was just funny to me that. That was.
He's a dedicated musician. When in Scotland, he's like, "I'm going to learn this song." He's like, "Bro,
yeah.
We're out here. Let's go."
Yeah, I'm going to learn this song that someone already wrote and we're playing tonight at the show, just in case they want to call me in to cover it.
Well, since you did mention cKy, obviously we would be remiss if we didn't ask about it. And it started in 1999. And when this was all happening,
the videos or the band, you mean?
The videos, right?
Oh, yeah.
Around 1999.
Yeah.
So did y'all have any idea it would become this like crazy phenomenon? And I mean, it really started the revolution for the worlds of like practical jokes and stunt work. Yeah. Like,
we knew right away. We knew we were going to be huge right away. No, we had no idea. Honestly, it was like just stupid shit to make our friends laugh. There's no way in hell we could have ever guessed that it would like connect with people the way that it did, and then find the success that it did through Jackass, through Viva La Bam, and all the other stuff that came after. But like, yeah, there's no way we could have ever known that. I mean, I think honestly it was like because in 99 is when like the video came out, but we've been filming since probably 1990, like,
oh, wow, okay.
We were like, I was 10 years old when we were filming stupid skits, and like there's stuff in there where I'm like this tiny little kid with braces, and they're like throwing like flower at me or whatever, or tying the bee to a string. And I'm like, I don't have like a driver's license at that point. You know, like there's like, there's times when we're so young and it was really just stupid stuff to make each other laugh. And it would be like, all right, go film this, then bring it back. And then we'd all kind of gather around the VCR and like, because it would be like, the camera was like a VHS camera. So it had like the big ass VHS tape in it.
Yes.
And then you pull that out and put it right in the VCR and you could go watch it and rewind it and watch it and watch it. And then it would be like, you know, VCR to VCR edit, you know, and that kind of stuff back then. But yeah, there's no way we could have known any of that, but it was just stupid stuff, you know, just like kids being kids. And we just happened to have a video camera around. And the reason was because of Bam skateboarding. His dad, Phil, had bought that old VHS thing. Like he bought it for Bam's Sponsor Me tapes. So he would take it up to Cheapskates where we would go skate, the skate park, this indoor skate park in King of Prussia near us. And we go up there and skate and he would film Bam's different lines and stuff that he was skating so that like you could show it to local skate shop, which was Fairman's. And then Fairman's kind of was the first company that Bam was sponsored by when he was real young. And then it was the Sponsor Me tapes. Cause back then that was kind of the deal is like, you had to put together a little tape of your skateboarding and then send it to the companies so they could see what you were doing and whatever. And then because that camera was around, that's when like Brandon and Ryan and me and Rake and everybody were also around kind of like wanting to, like, we didn't skate on that level. So we were like, we got to get in there somehow. And it was like, oh, maybe I'll just like throw a pillowcase with shit on it at somebody or whatever, you know.
As you do.
Yeah. Yes, I was very fond of poop and still am. I think it's hilarious. But,
it's so underrated.
Yes.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Defecation is a gift. It is a gift.
It is. It really is. Well, that was what Chris Raab would always say. He's like, dude, to everybody else, they call it waste, but not to you. You take full advantage.
They call it taking a shit because you're removing gold from the treasure and you're letting it exit the heart.
Hey, that's a good explanation of it. I always wondered why they said taking a shit instead of leaving a shit, you know, but hey, that's
why we keep Josh around. Yeah. But I was going to say it has to be pretty special for you guys too, like to have all these memories that you can, you know, maybe not all of them are wonderful memories, but you know, you pretty much have so much of your life documented that, you know, it's easy to go back and.
I know it's crazy. It's crazy because I think like, you know, you hear a lot of people say like, oh, once I'm done with that chapter, I never look back and whatever. And, I would say, like, for me, I don't sit here and just watch them and cry every day. Like, oh, remember how great that was. But I mean, but there is a point where, like, you know, I think when you're going and doing things, you don't just immediately look back. Like for me, when Viva La Bam, we were filming all the time, and like they were like, "Oh, you were going to go to the premiere tonight for that episode or this?" I'm like, "No, I was there. Like, I don't."
Right.
You know? And so I didn't really watch it like that. But then once in a while you're farting around on YouTube and you get going into a hole and then you're like, somehow something comes up because it'll lead you in that direction. And you're like, you know what? I'll watch it. I haven't watched that in so long. And then you watch it and it is funny. And you're like, and it's like a good memory and it does like help you reminisce and feel nostalgic and all that. So it is really cool that a big part of our lives is documented, you know. Sure. I mean, although that used to be a unique thing, I don't think it's a unique thing now because everybody knows what they had for lunch on Tuesday. So, you know, like we are also documented now, but
my son's 15 and I recently showed him old cKy tapes. Like we started him early in the franchise. We're like, okay, if you're going to watch this shit, you're going to watch it from the beginning. And growing up in the world he couldn't rap. He's like, so what were they doing? Just like filming in the woods? Because there was no YouTube in his mind back then. He's like, why were they doing this? And I was like, because they didn't care, Shane. Like they just wanted to go fuck around and have fun. And it was just like you said, it was all about eating a bowl of Chex Mix and watching the VHS tape with all your friends around, you know, once it was done. That was part of the experience. And you guys don't sell yourself short. I think the whole cast of Jackass doesn't get enough credit for just how big pioneers and cKy all of you guys were for this prankster generation, this YouTube viral bullshit generation. You know what I mean? When it's
well,
all their pranks are so fake. You know what I mean? The stuff that you guys did is so real in comparison. It's not even.
No, I mean, that's awesome. It is cool. Like, and you know what's funny for me, because I appreciate you saying that, and that's cool. That's a great feeling. But I also feel that who really, like, for me, someone's who deserve a lot of credit too, is Tom Green, one, because I feel
that's
like
a great point.
He totally pushed down that barrier. And also the dudes, I think it's Dave Sheridan from Buzzkill. Like those dudes, they did that. And then, you know, and we came shortly after that, but a lot of people just talk about Jackass, but it was like, you know, there was a culture of that pranky sort of thing that was happening. And man, I went back and watched some of the Tom Greens lately, and they are so
I got to see him at an improv a couple of years back. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's
ahead of his time. Ahead of his time.
Yeah, way so. But yeah, like, and I think that whole group, you know, when you look at Dave Sheridan and Tom Green and then, you know, Knoxville and Bam and all the guys and everything, like, definitely, you know, kind of paved the way a bit for what goes on now. I worked on a show called Too Stupid to Die for MTV. I was one of the camera dudes, and Zach Holmes is like, you know, the first that'll say, like, dude, I have a cKy tattoo. So I showed up like maybe a few days into the filming of the season, and him and the dude Cody were like, what the fuck, Raab? Oh, can you go? Sorry. Raab is standing on our driveway, and I'm like, yo, what's up? And they were like, what? And like, so it was cool because it was like kind of like they paid homage to that stuff, but it was really fun. And it ended up being fun for me because I got to sort of like get out of the way, stop breaking bones, and be like, yeah, cool, just jump off of that. That's awesome. You know, and then like throw it and be like, all right, I don't have to get all messed up from it, you know. But so that was neat. But yeah, I got to kind of meet the next generation of that. And also then film with Zach for the new Jackass.
That is great. Are you allowed to talk about that, or is that more under?
Yeah, I mean, I won't tell you anything about it in terms of like what's in it, but I can say that it's hilarious and that I worked on a bit of it. I didn't work on the whole thing. I worked on it, and it was, and then like COVID shut it down. And then I came back after COVID, did a little bit, but the way that it works is like you kind of film for a couple weeks and then take a couple weeks off because everybody gets all broke off and bones and whatever. Everybody's all beat up and stuff from it. So then you get a little bit of time to heal and then get back to film. And so in that time, I ended up jumping off and going on to another project that was a little bit more consistent. So because I work as a camera guy, and now I recently just started my own company and I'm doing that stuff. But for the most part, like through Jackass, because that started in 19 and then, you know, and now it's like crazy with COVID. It just kind of screwed up a lot of things and studios shut down and all that. But yeah, during that time I was solely doing camera stuff. And so it like I said, it was like, I'll do here, there. And then I was like, all right, I need to take this other gig because this other gig was more consistent, especially after we had been shut down for all that time. I had to like kind of get going with work. But I was fortunate to be a part of about, you know, probably a little more than half of it or whatever, and be there and shooting the stuff, and it was hilarious, and nothing's changed, and everybody is super funny in it, and the chemistry's there, and it's like, you know, well, the only thing that's changed is everybody's as old as dirt now, but you know, like at the same time, it was just funny. There was this moment. And without giving anything away, there was this moment where some gnarly thing happened, and I was shooting on one of the cameras, and Cossack was on the other. And then, and you guys know Rick Cossack, like he's like one of the main camera dudes, the dude that always barfs every time.
Like Stomach Cossack, yeah.
Yeah, he could not hold it down if anything gross is happening. But just such a funny dude, such an awesome guy, and he just like looked aside from the camera, was like, yo, Raab, aren't you glad you're behind the camera now? And I was like, dude, seriously, just to see how broke off people were getting. I'm like, I'm good, you know, like, and I'm actually younger than everybody. I'm the youngest, you know.
You're the baby.
Yeah, I'm 41 now. Bam is like a few months older than me at 42. He just turned 42, and everybody else is up from there. And Knoxville's like maybe 50.
He's like 75.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's 50. So yeah, so it's like
grandpa. He's literally he's bad grandpa now in the flesh.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because in the first movie, everybody was in those like old, you know, like, and like now it's like, yeah, you don't need it. Everyone's got wrinkles. Yeah. And it was funny too because Knoxville had like black hair or whatever when we first started, and then after the pandemic, he came back with just full gray, and he's like, he's just letting it rock. And you're like, whoa. So like some of it, he'll have, you know, the darker hair, but I guess he stopped coloring it as the fancy people say. But yeah, he was doing, I guess he was, you know, keeping it black, but then he just let it go au naturel, and it's like, yeah, he's got a full head of gray hair.
I like it.
Yeah,
I think it looks good. I cannot wait for the movie. It's next year though, right? We got a couple more months. March, is it, or
February? Is that what they announced?
It's February, but I don't know if they're just. It was originally October 22nd or something, and then I think is it February 22nd now? I keep
That's
seeing
the last date I remember seeing was sometime.
Yeah, so hopefully that doesn't change again. I mean, I just went to the theater recently and saw a movie, so I mean, hopefully things will be opening up enough that they'll want to release it, because it's definitely that movie. Like, look, you're gonna have a good time watching it at home too, but the experience of being in a theater and the shock value of people watching stuff,
that's part of it, right?
That's the best experience, way to watch it, you know. Like, I mean, as far as the way I've ever watched it was like that, like in a theater with people around and be like, dude, what the, you know, and just flipping out and like
someone's mom sitting there just like,
yeah. She's like, I guess I had to bring Kyle. He wouldn't stop.
I had to bring the boys.
Yeah.
They wanted to see the diarrhea movie with the Raab man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, Dave England takes care of all the dookie in this one, dude. I'm like I said, I'm behind the camera, not in front of it on this one, but
oh man.
Yeah, he definitely holds up the Poop King world for that. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, I feel like you kind of already answered it, but obviously you've been both in front of and behind the camera as well. So would you say that's definitely your preference now? You like being behind the camera?
Yeah, I do. I really do. You know, it's not that I don't get the itch once in a while to be like, all right, I want to be a goofball in front of a camera. But I think, as time has gone, I think more of my interests have really gone in terms of like creating this stuff and like just seeing it come to fruition and filming it. And I sort of learned camera out of necessity, because I think it was after Viva La Bam or whatever, I had went and I was like pitching shows, and I got the total of 3, but this was years later, 2 at the time. I had 2 shows in development. And they just kept like, you know, we'll meet with the production company, and then we'll write this out, and we'll do this, and then we'll try to do this, and we'll try to test this and screen this and do that. And it just got to be so exhausting. And I remember it was almost 2 years went by that you were like, dude, like we didn't film anything, you know. And like my whole life up until that point, we had just we didn't wait for people to like tell us it was okay to go film something. We had just gotten a camera and went and filmed something. And so for me, it was like, you know what, I need to get out and go film something, and like, whatever, if it gets picked up by someone, who cares about that at this point? And so that led me to just really learn and kind of start to perfect that craft of being a camera guy. And I wouldn't say perfect it, because it's a daily learning process and you keep growing. But I mean, I've gotten to a point where I know what I'm doing behind there. And so with that, it's been really cool, because it doesn't, there's no longer a roadblock. You know, you can go out and just create and do what you're doing. And for me, that journey has led me into like the cinematography world. I joined the Cinematographers Guild. I got into the union stuff, and I do like I've done a lot of bigger shows, and then some movies and stuff like that. And then it really just kind of like sparked my interest in other avenues in terms of like, yeah, I love all the Jackass style things, and I love like comedy and all that as well. But then I also really enjoy like dramatic features and stuff. Like I was saying, I just went to the theater to see the new Wes Anderson. Like I love Wes Anderson and I love a lot of different, like Noah Baumbach and all that style of people that are doing really cool movies. And so that's kind of the direction I'm heading with that stuff. We did a feature film under my company just recently, a comedy, like a 90-minute comedy. And it's fun, like it's not, like I always say, it's probably not going to win any awards. Like it's not going to be the new Dumb and Dumber, but it was a huge accomplishment. And the two guys, the Harrow brothers, they wrote and directed it. And I just came along as an executive producer and just kind of basically connected dots so that we could get equipment and get things and get it shot and do all that. And it was a lot of fun and a lot of good laughs. And it was one of those good feelings of like, there's no gatekeeper. Like we're not waiting for a studio to tell us it's okay that we go make a movie. Like we're going and we're making a movie, and we did. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun, and we experienced that experience. And then we just had a screening for it, and it went really well. A lot of laughs and good times. And
what's the name of the film?
It's called Afternooner.
Afternooner.
And and basically the premise of it is that this guy owns a bike rental shop on the promenade in Santa Monica, and it's about to go out of business. And then there's this other like nemesis person that's buying property right next door to open up a bike rental shop to put him out of business. And so he's got to figure out how to keep the store open. And then like his ditzy girlfriend like falls in love with like the schlubby like yoga dude that's like all in the moon and stars and stuff. So it's just funny. Yeah, all that garbage. But but yeah, all that spiritual garbage. But yeah, she's like but yeah, so it's just kind of poking fun at everything, like making fun of the yoga world whenever, I do that stuff too, but we making fun of all of it in terms of that, then making fun of, kind of every aspect of things, like, and it was just fun to do that, because especially in a world right now where you feel a little nervous to like make fun of stuff because everybody's feelings get hurt, so like it's hard to do that comedy thing. But we were just kind of doing that, and it was fun and freeing and exciting and awesome. And that's like the beginning of there you go. Look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. So then it was fun and freeing, and then it's just inspiration to keep going with that and keep creating new stuff. And we as far as my company is called Green Gate Entertainment, and we do a bunch of stuff. So we just did a music video for Darren Miller. He's the lead singer of cKy, and he started a new band, 96 Bitter Beings, and we just did a music video for them, which was super rad. Like we got a lot of help from a lot of friends that kind of, put some favors in, and we shot something really, really that we're all very proud of. And the band's album is not out yet, but once it's released, they'll release the music video with it. And the thing that's been weird about the COVID thing is they want to kind of go out and tour behind it, and that got started, then stopped, then started, then stopped. So we're trying to figure that out. And that was cool. And then also another buddy of mine, Nate Bergman from the band Lion Eyes, we just did a music video for him. So he's got a new solo album out, and it's rad. And we just shot a cool video there. Actually, over at Bam's place, we went and got there for a couple days, and that was cool. And then at the end, we lit this bonfire to get this cool shot, and then somehow the fire company showed up, and it was a perfect way to wrap the production, so it just kind of went well, and it was cool because the fire guys got there and they were like, look, the neighbor was complaining there was ashes or whatever, but we're just happy to be out of the firehouse and just come down and say hello and just, you know, make sure everything was cool. But they were super cool about it. And it was
that wasn't their first time over to that house.
Yeah.
They know it well.
Ashes raining from the sky.
Yeah.
Last time we were here, you guys were throwing paws of shit on each other. Like,
yeah. Flaming piles of shit. Yeah.
So Raab, you just explained all your amazing stuff behind the camera and these amazing projects, Afternooner, but you also are known for your podcast too. You got the podcast, the Bathroom Break podcast.
Yeah. Oh man, I've been so lazy on that. I haven't done it in a while. But I want to get back to it, and people ask about it. Yes, I did the Bathroom Break podcast. I started doing that, and that was kind of a funny thing. That name came from, I had this idea a while back. The local radio station, I was like, yo, I want to do like just like a minute, like check in with me and do like
while I'm taking a shit. So
like
good thoughts come.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. And it was like, dude, just do the Bathroom Break with Raab Himself and throw it to me and we'll do like whatever. I was like, we had like, you know, weird ideas. Like I wanted to do like just stupid stuff. But like it never got picked up by that radio show. So when the podcast thing started happening and everybody, I was like, oh man, I'm too late to the game. Yeah, everybody's got all these things. And then it was like, I'm going to do it anyway. And so I did, and I just kept that name that I originally had for that thing and led it to there. And I thought it made sense to kind of my MO, you know, of all things shit, you know.
Is there a dream guest or someone that you'd like to chat with?
Yeah, there's a few, you know. I think I don't know, we'll see. I've got to get it up and going again because like I said, I chilled out when the pandemic happened. I kind of got into this thing of like, I got in my head a bit about it, but just was like, oh, I want to sit in the room with them. I don't want to do, you know, but then after doing doing your show now and after doing other ones that are like through this, it's like, that's just an excuse because it's actually really rad. And you get to, and I listen to tons of podcasts. So I'm like, I should get back doing it. So I've done a couple. I did one with Jess Margera. He has this really rad situation where he got one of the soundboards, like for music recording or whatever. He got one of the soundboards from Prince's Paisley Park. Oh. So like it's pretty rad, and they're recording a bunch of awesome music over there right now with it. And so I cat down with him and just talked about that a bit for the first episode. And then I sat with Jen Revelle. She was Bam's ex-girlfriend that did a lot of the cKy stuff with us. Hadn't seen her in a long time. It was good to see her, and we sat down and just bullshit about old times. And then I got a couple. I got Gary DeNoia. He's a comedian dude that's on Instagram, and then like he's all over Instagram doing tons of funny stuff. He's coming down here for a show in Philly pretty soon, and I did one with him. And then this other girl, Nicole Sinaglia, she's an actress and she's a producer director, and she just did her first feature. So we sat with her, and so I've got a few in the thing, and I'm trying to get going again. But yeah, to answer that question, as far as like who would be a dream guest, I would say Wayne Coyne is someone I've always had a man crush on, and he'd be cool to sit down with. That dude's like super inspiring and very creative and cool, and just, you know, loving the Flaming Lips for a long time, and you know, been to a bunch of their shows, and then also just watching some of the documentaries on that, and he's super inspiring as far as like he'd be the first to tell you like, oh, I wasn't an artist and I wasn't this and I just started doing it, and it kind of gives you that inspiration and shows you like, yeah, man, you just got to go and do these things, and then time builds up, and all of a sudden you become pretty decent at what you're doing, and you find your voice, you know, creatively, and so he's someone that it would be a dream guest for sure.
Heck yeah. Well, Raab, if it's okay with you, if we can keep you for a couple more minutes, we have a game we're going to play. It's a game of Would You Rather. So there's no wrong answers here. Whatever you pick is correct. So Josh.
Or Charmin. He's like,
but you can pick. All right, Josh, you want to read the first one?
Raab Himself. Would you rather do a Jackass crossover with the cast of Workaholics, which would be freaking amazing, or do a Jackass crossover with the cast of Always Sunny, which would be freaking amazing?
That's such a hard call. So here's the thing. I don't know the Sunny guys, but Ryan was buds with them. So that would be really awesome, and I find them to be hilarious. And then I do know Kyle Newacek pretty good. We did this awesome like ping pong.
The ping pong thing. We almost got to that. We had that here in our notes too.
Yeah.
You're so close. You're so close.
So Kyle's rad, and I think I briefly met Blake before, and so I think the Jackass crossover with them makes a lot of sense, especially because Kyle had Steve-O and Pontius in their movie Game On or whatever. Is it Game On or Game Over? The movie they did where they're like waiters and it's like a Die Hard. It's like an action.
That's right. Yeah, it was like a Christmas movie or something. Right?
Yeah, they had Steve-O and Pontius in that, so they've already sort of done a crossover sort of thing there. Man, that's a real. I don't even want to answer the question because they're both awesome and they're both good. But let's say personally, it would be easier with Workaholics because I feel like I'm already sort of in that camp a bit. But I'd also love to get to know those the other dudes because they're really rad too and super funny.
Cool.
Sweet.
Both. Good answer.
Great answer.
And honestly, like I think it was Mac and Dennis or whatever. Like, and it might have been Charlie too, but they did a thing for Ryan's tribute, and that really means the world to me. And so like I love them, not even really knowing them, as well as the brothers from Kings of Leon. They just have my heart because of that, and so they're just super rad for that.
That is, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Awesome.
All right, here's the next one. Would you rather eat a ghost pepper with no milk or eat an onion like an apple?
Grinch style.
I'd say I'd go onion because I feel like onion would just make you cry and clear out your boogers and shit.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, all right, cool. That it's terrible. But the ghost pepper thing, like I have done that stuff, but I've actually like squeezed this stuff in my eyes and all. And like it was like a Viva La Bam episode. I went into this hot sauce thing and then they like poured it in my eyes and it was all so awful. But I immediately like was just dousing.
It was awful. You're kidding me. It was like
yeah. I thought it was gonna be great. It turned out that it was not so much fun. But they had like milk and sour cream like right away. Like I was just putting it all over. So like that was
sour cream. I love it.
Yeah,
Sour cream for sure.
I have this funny story where my buddy he like went out and ate these stupidly hot wing things. This test thing, like this like
the blazing challenge at
it was like some challenge, and then he didn't even think about it. Like afterwards, like he even did wash his hands, but then he was like scratching his balls, and then it like inflamed his balls so bad that like it got like all swollen up. And then he was freaking out, and he called the poison control because he was like, I don't know, like, what am I supposed to do? And they basically were like, you need to put your balls in sour cream. So like he was just like dipping his balls in sour cream the whole time. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I would to do it without milk or any type of dairy thing would be rough.
Huevos rancheros for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Man. Right. I don't know if we can top that, but Raab himself, would you rather share a one-bedroom apartment with Preston Lacey or share a communal bathroom with the king of shit, Dave England?
Dude, so easy. I'm with Dave England in a second. We'll just sit there and we'll gaze into one another's eyes and just keep letting them flow. Dude, like, I mean, we got to sit down. Like Dave and I got to sit down for my podcast and just talk about shit stories. And I swear to God, I could have sat there for like 3 days. It was like we kept like throwing them back and forth, and it's so fucking funny. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I sure like to cuddle with Preston. I mean, I love them both equally. I think it would be kind of romantic to sit there.
I think Dave's taking a shit in this picture. I think.
Yeah.
I forget who. I think it's Meghan Trainor and her husband recently became pretty popular because they have like conjoined toilets, so they always like use the bathroom
together. Who's that? Sorry.
Meghan Trainor. She's it's all about that bass, about that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, her and her husband, the Spy Kid, apparently using the restroom together.
He's kind of a cuckold and a voyeur as well.
Put that on.
Not only is he a spy, but he's also a voyeur.
We're unpacking a lot here. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, would you
Couple of
rather?
kids, 3D with Antonio Banderas.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Okay, would you rather watch an entire season of Sex in the City for 24 hours or listen to Barbie Girl and repeat for 12 hours straight?
Oh god, they're both awful, but I gotta go Barbie Girl.
Okay.
I
Good
feel
choice.
like I could just zen out for a minute, but Sex in the City is like
Too many moles. It's just too many moles.
Yeah, moles are moving in too many different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be painful.
Barbie Girl it is. Barbie Girl it is. All right, next one, Josh.
Would you rather, my friend, make a children's movie about keykey, Whiskers the cat, known as the non-gender identifying cat by Phil standards, or make a romantic comedy about an arranged marriage?
I mean, they both have potential for being super funny. I think that the children's movie about kKy would come so easily and natural that, and it would be like, I think that would be like a lighthearted, easy thing. And then the romantic comedy might get sad at moments and might get serious, but
get real serious,
really
like
funny stuff there too. But I don't know, the children's kKy thing would be rad.
Okay, we're into it.
If
Clifford can have a movie, so can kKy.
That's right.
yeah, exactly.
All right, here's the next one. Would you rather wear wet socks for a week or always have to wear toe socks?
Dude, both of the you guys, these are good ones. Wet socks are awful, but
they're awful.
Lord, those toe sock things remind me of those toe shoes, and that's like the. No, I think I just have to try to get used to the wet socks. I would just, yeah.
All right, you're going wet socks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Although my feet would be like mangled after a week.
Yeah, that's not fun. Okay, next one.
Would you rather the Jackass crew remake A Clockwork Orange or the Jackass crew remake The Warriors?
Oh man, so I mean, Clockwork Orange is pretty dark and wild and whatever, and that makes sense. But the Warriors, I think, would be kind of really comical. You know, like even though it's not supposed to be, like it would seem that way to see if you saw like Steve-O as that guy in the front there, and Dave with that face paint in the back. You know, like yeah, I think that would be funny, and it would sort of turn into like a Three Stooges sort of.
Have Deco play the woman on the right. That'd be amazing.
Yes. Yeah, so I got to go Warriors.
Good choice. All right, we got two more. All right. Would you rather go back in time and attend a Nirvana show or attend a Sex Pistols show?
Yeah, I haven't been to a Nirvana show. That's crazy. Yeah, that because I was I think that was right around my first show was Cypress Hill, and that was like right at that age, like right in like 93 or whatever, and he died in 94. And then I've been to a bunch of Foo Fighters shows, and I've been fortunate to meet Dave Grohl and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'd probably and I mean, and by saying that, he's the man and so down to earth and humble and cool and awesome, and I couldn't believe how rad and accommodating he is. You know, like being a living legend, he just really is. Just there's a reason why, because he's such a rad guy. But that being said, that means I feel like I'd have to want to go see Sex Pistols, because I've never, and I have seen a bunch of Foo Fighters shows, which is not Nirvana.
It's not.
But there's
as close you're gonna get today.
Of it, yeah, and then Sex Pistols, I'd want to see what the hell Johnny Rotten and is up to, because that dude's gnarly, and I mean obviously Sid Vicious too, but like just the unpredictability of that show would be kind of cool. It would almost like mimic, maybe not to that extent, but a Gigi Allen sort of thing.
Who also, I feel like we're tying this all together with the poop here. Gigi Allen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it all comes back to poop.
Yeah. Loves it. Lives for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Simba, when we die, our bodies become the grass. The animals eat the grass, then shit on the grass. And that is the circle of life.
Dude, it's no wonder that you're the voice for all that stuff. God, you have an incredible voice.
Thanks,
Oh, yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
He's amazing. All right, our
Yeah.
final one. Josh, you
All
want
right,
to
our
read
final one. Let's do it. Would you rather be a reverse merman or a reverse centaur? What? There's some cake on the centaur, by the way.
Gotta go merman, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks like you got a nice kissy face on that fish.
Absolutely. I think it would be
Smooch
really
all
awkward
day.
to get
Yeah,
a
see?
reverse centaur. I'm
Think your
getting like
dad's already
cryptid
ready to
buzz.
smooch.
And I'm assuming that's a foot, right?
Right on the merman or
On the centaur.
that's hope.
If it's a little
Good
foot.
Lord.
It's a tripod. He's a tripod.
That is a weird placement for the foot for sure.
Wow. Yeah, well, you
great.
made it,
Only
Raab.
the
Thank
finest.
you. This
You
has
did
been
it.
such a joy.
Oh man, so fun. That went by quick. That was a lot of fun.
Before we wrap it up, if it's okay with you, can you tell us a little bit about your community organization, Hope for Today?
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit and mainly focus in Haiti, and I go down there on kind of on an annual basis. I haven't been there in a little bit. I need to get down. The travel stuff got weird with COVID and things happened. So, but what we do is just kind of community outreach stuff. So there's a lot of need, obviously, all over the world. What the reason why I got kind of drawn to Haiti was actually after the earthquake in 2010, and obviously they just recently suffered again with some trauma, and it seems like they tend to always go through some rough stuff. But
You can't catch a break over in Haiti recently, man. I really can't.
what's that?
Those people can't catch a break over there recently.
Yeah. It's tough. So, but here's the other part about it is they are the greatest people, like the most spirit, and like the connection that I've gained with a lot of my buds down there is amazing. And so what we've been able to do is just connect with locals. I got a buddy named Ray, and he's been going back and forth there for 35 years, and actually maybe it's 38 now, and so he is fluent in the language, and just they call him the albino Haitian because he's like this big tall white dude with blue eyes and sticks out like a sore thumb, but they love him, and he's fluent there. He went down on like a church mission that was supposed to be like a couple weeks back in like 82 or whatever, 83 or whatever it was. I think it was 83, and he ended up living there for 10 years, and then just keeps going down all the time. And I got connected with him, and he's been my mentor there, and connected me to a bunch of his friends and the locals, and the relationships that we've built have been amazing. So that we've been able to help out with some projects and stuff, and not to sound like that cliche saying, but for sure they do more for me than I do for them. But at the same time, like we have been lucky and able to do some pretty important things with sanitation. We've been able, and this is awesome. Bathroom break. So it all leads back.
To sanitation.
It all leads back to shit. It really does. It's so crazy. Like even if I didn't want it to, the world is like, you're pretty good with shit. Why don't you stick with that? So what it was, but on a serious note, there was a lot of infection happening, cholera and some other bacteria through the lack of sanitation in a town called Ransamble, which is outside of St. Mark, and that's really where we focus. There's Montlouis, St. Mark, and Ransamble, and that's the areas that we do work in. But in Ransamble, our buddy Pastor Wilson, who's a local there, his wife is from Ransamble, and so that's the little town that's near and dear to his heart, and it's up in the mountains, and it can kind of get forgotten. But up there, they didn't have a bathroom, and so people were going just kind of in the ground and whatever, and with the water runoff and things like that, it was getting into the food sources, and then it was creating sickness, and people were actually perishing as a result of not having the sanitation. So we were able to complete this project that gave them 6 bathrooms. So everybody in the town is able to have like be able to go to like a public kind of restroom to go, and that was huge, and that was one of the projects. Then we've done classrooms. Right now, currently, we're starting to raise funds to build a secondary school in that area, because right now they have like K through 6, and then school stops kind of after that. So because what happens is St. Mark has the secondary school, but it's too far of a walk, and especially when it's raining, kids, they just end up stopping school, and it's just such a shame. So what we want to do is get that secondary school built in Ensemble for them. But the other projects are like irrigation things, where we've been able to get the help of like Philadelphia Fire Company, like the firefighters and stuff. They've donated old fire hoses, and we've gotten them down there so that they could like build an irrigation system. So we got like a water pump that pumps the water out of the river nearby, and then they build it out into like PVC pipes, and then it goes into the fire hoses, poke holes in that, and then that creates irrigation. And one of the most beautiful things about that is that like the people, like people and my buds down there and all the locals and all that stuff, they're just so resourceful and able to just make things happen. So, you kind of give them a little bit to get going, and then they are able to make it all happen. And the way that we like to do it is we like to go through the community leaders there and the locals, so that it's not just like, hey, some dumb kid from US is like, hey, I'll save the day, because there's no way in hell I'm gonna be able to do that. There's so much going on there, but they're able to help themselves, and that's all they need is like a little bit of opportunity to do that, and they can do that. And one of the neatest moments for me with the irrigation thing was like, we got that set up and did all this, and then I came back like a year later, and they were like, Chris, we want to show you, and like we walked all through the path and we went up over this hill, and this huge field that was barren and had nothing but like dirt the year before is completely overgrown with like plantains and bananas and tomatoes and all that
awesome.
And they've had they get so many like they get so many resources, and they've been able to feed the town and then take those resources to the market and kind of get some extra income from that. And then also the way that people are so loving and sweet to one another. I mean, look, it's not like utopia. There is gangs, there is gnarly stuff, there is all that stuff too. But the people that I've been in connection with and all that are very sweet, like God-loving people that want to help their neighbors too. So what they've done is shared that irrigation system. So they'll do their watering season and do that. And then with the town next door, they'll bring it over there and help with them. And so they're able to have crops as well. And so it's just really cool because you can kind of just see it like kind of branch out and do neat stuff. But it's maybe just even talking about it is making me miss them and want to get down there. And I need to get down there soon and just start really focusing on gaining, raising some funds for that secondary school so we can get that going.
Wow, you are such a multifaceted human. I feel like we ran the gambit here today, but what an incredible
Renaissance man, Chris Raab. I love it.
Yeah, right.
I mean that is so wonderful.
It's really cool, bro.
I mean,
it's cool, and I gotta say, like, because not that it's done for any of that, like, and I appreciate that, but it's not like done for any of that. It was just, dude, it just got me so bad. I went down there for this documentary that we did, and it like the people just like was so infectious. Like I was like, yo, I need this more than they need. And because I remember, and I was joking, and maybe I'm being rude, but it was like I'm on set on some movie and somebody's like, I ordered soy in my latte, and you're like, what? Like, and then I'm down there and these people like, dude, we've done some cool drum circles like as the sun's setting, and it's just people like doing all these awesome music, and we're climbing on the roofs in the town and whatever, and like, they don't want to live in block structures anymore because of the earthquake and stuff, so they build like these kind of lean-to things to live and stuff. But it was just so like infectious as like a spiritual thing where and because I'm in a program of recovery and stuff, I'm not too afraid to say I believe in God and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to be over here like we were talking at the beginning with the Jesus Christ stuff, but in terms of I'm not one to preach or do any of that, but for me, I do get connection with that, and I find that spiritual connection through people and through events like that where you're playing music as the sun's setting and you're like just being brought into a culture and being taken care of, and like they're taking care of me as well as maybe we're getting opportunities to help too. And it's just humanity at its best, you know, and that's what it feels like there. So like I have to say that they helped me way more as far as just even getting grounded and being because you do get a bit of a culture shock. Like I go staying with my buddy Jupiter in the town, and it's like it's a lot different than what the world we live in, and in some ways I'm grateful for what we have, and then in some ways I'm really grateful that this spiritual connection that they have, and that they have such uplifting spirits in the, you know, in the throes of hardship, you know. And that's, to me, I think what shows realness about people in life is like, yo, how do you walk through this, as opposed to how do you, you know, also when you get given an opportunity, like, are you a jerk about that too? I mean, yeah, you want to look at all of those aspects, but it really tests the character of a person to say, hey, when things are tough, like, are you able to come together and help one another and do that? And I've found that there. And like I said, there's gnarly situations. You'll be driving to the airport and there's rocks being thrown at your truck and shit. So there is, Haiti can have some stuff going on, but at the other side of it too, like the loving people that I know there, I feel very, very fortunate to have that.
If people wanted more information, where could they go to find it?
So hopefortoday.org. It's hope, the number 4 today.org is our website. And then that'll kind of give you an idea of some of the projects that we've done. And then there's an ability to like donate a little bit there. And I think brings up another major topic is when we went down there to do that documentary, that's what inspired me to want to do this, because literally every single dollar that's donated is put towards an issue, because I actually, out of my own thing, like I'll pay for my own flight down, I'll pay for food and stuff like that. Like I'm not using any of that money to pay for flights or do any of that stuff, because what I found through doing that documentary that exposed a lot of situations with nonprofits is that money is being allocated into different areas that aren't necessarily getting to the people. And that was something for me. We're a small organization, but we're not gaining tons of money or anything, but at the same time, the little bit that we get that helps goes directly to it. There's not a dollar taken out of it, literally, like not one. So that's the whole goal with it for me, was that, you know, any expense, like I'll do that. I'll pay for the flights down. I'll do that. So because that's sort of my donation to the cause as well, of like, okay, I'll donate my time, but I'll also donate, you know, the cost of the flights and the things like that. Because like I said, I want everyone to feel like, look, if you put $5 in, $5 is going right to that, you know? So, and that's sometimes can be hard. And I think on bigger organizations, I'm not trying to cut anybody down. People are helping and doing a lot of great things. And there are big organizations that do great things. But there are costs involved with that stuff. And I get it. And I understand why. This was just my sort of personal feeling of like, if I do this, it has to be that every single dollar goes to that. And so that's the deal. So, but yeah, that website there, that's where you can check it out. And like I said, right now, the money that we're raising is going towards getting that secondary school built in Ronsamble. That's what we want to do.
Great man with a great cause. The website is Hope for Today with the number 4 in the middle, hopefortoday.org, for those further listening in the future on audio only. Chris Raab, what a man of a million talents. Not only is he famous for his body of work, but he's now notorious for cleaning up shit around the world. Okay,
hey man, I caused a lot of shit. I sprayed a lot of shit. I got to clean it up, right?
You know what, brother? You're a good man, and we want to thank you both for coming on the program. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me. This has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Good laughs.
Before we let you go, Heather, you want to run us through our upcoming guests for the next week for our shameless segue promotion. Here we go.
Nice segue. So next Tuesday we have David LaGreca. He is an incredible host on SiriusXM Busted Open Radio. He talks.
You into pro wrestling at all, Raab? We didn't even touch into wrestling. You watch wrestling at all?
I don't watch a lot of it now. Oh my God, I was so into it when I was little. Like I was such a Hulkamaniac, and and I love the Ultimate Warrior, and I do I do love like Dark Side of the Ring. I was watching that a ton, and I love watching any type of documentary that has to do with it. I do love. And I think I just like I kind of like outgrew it a little bit. I'm not very tuned in right now as to who's like the big ones, but
well, here's a quick tip. If you ever want to jump back in, now is a prime opportunity, because now is being likened to the wrestling wars of 1998, when it was WCW against WWE, when it was Stone Cold Steve Austin on one side against, Hollywood Hogan and the NWO. There's a new company called AEW that's basically the new WCW, the new competitor, the new Pepsi to the Coke. They're on the same channel. They're on TNT on Wednesday nights. I don't get paid to plug them.
They're going to TBS. Don't forget.
They're going to TBS one day. Hopefully,
yeah. I think I've seen something about the AWE. Yes. I have seen that. Yeah.
Check them out. Right. And we're going to have David LaGreca on the program next week on the 23rd. And then after that, on the 30th, we have the lovely, I don't want to mispronounce her name, Heather.
Kiami. Kiami, I believe it is, but we're going to double check. We always like to ask before we start, but she was Lavender from the film Matilda. And we have our first guest for December. We have Jason RB, who is Skull from the Power Rangers. So we're so excited.
Yes. That's right.
Jackass Forever is coming out in February. Hopefully, fingers crossed, all things considered. And the man himself, Raab, was definitely a part of a little bit of it, as you just heard tonight.
Great. Okay. Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much, Raab. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful rest of your week. Raab, in advance, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, happy holidays. Awesome.
A week from today. It's insane. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Be safe, everybody. Au revoir.